All right, let's dive into something fascinating today: how to design a truly believable alien language. We're going to go way beyond the usual sci fi stuff and get into the really deep, hidden grammar of completely alien worlds. But first, let's start with a question you've probably asked yourself while watching a big sci fi movie. Why do most aliens kind of just sound like us? Sure, maybe they have a weird accent or a deep, gravelly voice, but the way they talk, it feels so familiar, right? Well, today, we're going to blow that wide open. So, look at this contrast. On one side, you've got the typical shortcuts. English with a funny accent, some basic grunts and growls. But on the other side, oh, that's where the real world-building magic happens. See, plausible xenolinguistics isn't just about weird sounds. It's about building a language from the ground up, based on an alien's biology, its mind, and the world it lives in. Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll talk about the human language trap. Then, we'll get into how biology is language, we'll explore the grammar of a truly non-human mind, see how a world shapes words, and finally, we'll ask the big question: why should any of this matter to us? So, let's start with part one, the human language trap. This is all about escaping our own biases, which honestly is the biggest hurdle we have to get over right from the start. This right here is the absolute most important rule. You basically have to hit a reset button on your brain. All our ideas about nouns, verbs, subjects, objects, those aren't universal laws. They're just features of human languages. To build something truly alien, we have to start with a totally blank slate. Okay, so if we're throwing out all the human rules, where do we even start? Well, you start with biology. The foundation for any alien language has to be the physical body of the alien itself. How its body is built is going to fundamentally define how it can even communicate in the first place.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Language doesn't have to be sound. What if a species talked to each other using rhythmic, bioluminescent flashes? Or what if they left these complex chemical sentences for others to read later, like pheromonal trails? You could have an entire debate happen through rapid shifts in skin color, or a whole civilization that communicates with electromagnetic pulses. The possibilities are absolutely endless once you unchain the idea of language from a human mouth.
All right, now we're going to get into the really deep, kind of mind-bending part. Section 3, Grammar of a Mind. This is where we move past the physical body and into the very architecture of thought itself. We're talking about the blueprint for a whole different reality. So we have to totally redefine what grammar means here. We're not talking about your high school English class, not about where to put a comma. In this context, grammar is the operating system of the mind. It's the set of core rules a species uses to make sense of everything: space, time, who they are, who others are, everything. So let's run a few thought experiments, just for fun. Imagine a species that's basically a shape-shifting amoeba. The word run would be totally meaningless to them, right? But their language might have, say, 20 super-specific verbs for different ways of flowing, or stretching, or becoming solid. Their reality is all about form, not motion. Or how about this? Picture a hive mind species, like a giant insect colony. If the only thing that matters is the group, the entire concept of an individual self, of I, might just not exist. Their language wouldn't have words for I or you. It would just have different ways of saying we and us. Can you even imagine trying to tell a story in a language that literally cannot express individuality? And now, for the final, real head scratcher. What if there was a being that doesn't experience time in a straight line? If your past, present, and future are all just there, all at once, equally real, then grammatical tenses like was, is, and will be are completely useless. Their language wouldn't describe things happening, it would just describe the fixed, eternal state of everything, all at once. Okay, so we've got a body, and we've got a mind. Now, let's put them in a world. Welcome to Section 4, A World in Words. This is all about how the unique pressures of an alien's home planet and the culture that grows from it get hard-coded directly into their words. You can draw a straight line here. It's pretty amazing. Let's say your planet is getting constantly bombarded by meteor showers. Well, your culture is going to value safety above everything else. And the result in your language? Maybe you have 15 different, very specific words for shelter, each describing a unique kind of protection. Or if resources are super scarce, a culture built on extreme efficiency might develop a language with 0 redundant words, the ultimate in getting straight to the point. And all of this brings us to our final section, beyond science fiction. Because here's the thing, this is why it all matters. This isn't just a fun game for sci-fi writers. This whole thought experiment is actually holding up a giant mirror to us, to our own human experience of reality. By trying to imagine a truly alien mind, we're forced to face the limits and the biases of our own minds. It shows us the invisible walls that our own native language has built around our thoughts. The words we have, and just as importantly, the words we don't have, they literally define the boundaries of our world. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? To invent a new language is to invent a new way to see. To learn an alien language would be to see with alien eyes. The whole point isn't just to make aliens sound cool, it's to create an entirely new way of seeing the universe. It's an act of incredible empathy and imagination. And that leaves us with one last really challenging question to think about. It's not about what your language lets you see. It's the opposite. What ideas, what concepts, what entire realities does your own language make it difficult, or maybe even impossible for you to even think about? If you enjoyed this little trip into other minds, please subscribe, and I would love for you to share your thoughts in the comments. What kind of ideas do you think might exist completely outside our language? Thanks for watching.